I must admit I got all messed up this morning when at 8:28 Scott walked into my office with his coin for 13 years of sobriety and said that he wanted the church to have it because if it wasn't for the church, he probably wouldn't be here today. And then a minute later, Calvin Singletary and his wife walk in. And Calvin is pretty thin now. Number one, he came to church. His wife was here, who doesn't come to church and is never on time. And so all these miracles are happening by 8:30. And I'm looking at my sermon and I don't know, what are you going to say after that, But I did my usual stick this morning. I came in early and plugged in the coffee and took a walk out back. And I came back in here and remembering how last Sunday was kind of the big one, the Super Bowl Sunday of the clergy. And I walked out back again and I heard the coyotes howling and I saw a few lights on in some of the memorial areas. I remembered very clearly a phone call I got 4 years ago from nearby Bulgaria, letting me know that Jude had peacefully passed in her sleep 4 years ago. And then I saw the moonlight and I saw the pink clouds of the sunrise. I clicked on my computer, wanted to make sure I was current with my Facebook posts. And there were all these prom pictures of kids from our church going to the prom. Every one of them was baptized in this very room. And then I saw Pauline Jaworski's little grandchild in the arms of her son, and I realized that I did Pauline's funeral. And then an announcement from a classmate of mine from my 50th reunion who just passed away this weekend. And I just kept seeing this incredible circle of life come forward, and I wasn't sure if I felt old or young, maybe a little of each. And then I thought of the flowers today, Jerry turning 85 and seeing the Cubs win the World Series, the flowers in honor of a gentleman who was on the church council that hired me 43 years ago, and I just saw life's never-ending treadmill. I recall back in the day when I had my very first confirmation class had 7 kids in it. Some of them were almost 60. And back then, I tried to be Lutheran, so I had, instead of having them come to the church and answer questions, I had each of the kids come before the church council. And we asked each one of the students, which biblical figure do you identify with? If perchance Don talked about any biblical figures in confirmation class. The last kid in front of the council was Mark and Lori Nussle's grandson, Jim. And I was 26 years old at this time. And they said, well, Jim, who was your person you identify with? And he said, well, I identify with Doubting Thomas. And why? Well, because I don't believe everything. There's a lot of stuff about the church and what Don says that I just doubt. And so I can identify with Doubting Thomas. The gospel for today is one of my favorites. Because on Sunday night, Jesus appears to the disciples and Thomas is not there. And they go to Thomas, we got good news. Jesus is back, and Thomas says, unless I see him, I ain't going to believe. And so a week later, they're all together and Thomas is there. And Jesus appears. And says, Thomas, touch my hands, feel my wound. And Thomas goes, my Lord and my God. It's easy to look at doubting as a sign of weakness. It's easy to see doubt as the opposite of faith, but not true. Doubt is a consequence of the risk of faith. To really believe with all your heart, from the depth of your soul, to believe in something, to believe in somebody, from the very fiber of who you are, to believe in another person, to believe in our country, to believe in our flag, to believe in God and what Jesus did, to believe in yourself and who you are, your dreams, your passion. It's good to believe, but it's also risky because believing sometimes doesn't always turn out the way we'd like it to. Believing can bring us incredible alleluias. It can also bring us doubt and despair when that thing you believe in, when that person you believe in doesn't measure up, and then it hurts. I sometimes doubt myself. I doubt myself more than you might think. I had a little moment yesterday. I always pride in our church is open. The door is open. What are the qualifications for getting married here? Just walk in the door. God will marry anybody. Well, I had one of those marriages yesterday, and getting ready for the wedding, and this lady, who was not the mother of the bride, didn't know who she was. She comes up to me and to Kathy Janik and says, I don't like the way the altar looks. You got all those flowers mixed together. The bride's flowers are buried in that whole thing. Get those flowers out of here. And I said, well, those are Easter flowers given by members of the church. And she said, Easter was last week. It's over. And then I said, ma'am, understand. In our church, we celebrate Easter every single Sunday. And she was not amused by my comment. And then the bridesmaid, I don't know who kicked and punched her before she walked in the door. But everything I said and everything I did, every time we lined somebody up, it was not up to her expectations. And I'm thinking to myself, is this what you get for having an open door policy? Well, the wedding is over. The place is quiet. I come back a couple hours later to lock up and to get ready for today. And I realized anew in the quietness of this place that even though leadership here is a little flawed, even though we're not perfect, a lot of stuff happens in this very room. A lot of stuff happens in this very room that in some cases has changed other people's lives. And I realize when I celebrate a wedding or anything else, how important it is in life to have people that you can believe in, people that you totally trust, and people that believe in you. It might be your spouse, or your partner, or your friend, or your son, or your daughter, or a grandparent, or the little old lady down the block. But to believe in somebody and to have them believe in you is at the bedrock and the essence of who we are as God's people. I think of that song, I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the great somewhere, a candle glows. Inside each one of us, that candle burns with fire, and we yearn to believe. And so this morning before church, I checked my messages, my little text. I want to be current by 8:30. Late last night, and I didn't see it, I received a text from a former confirmation student who 43 years ago appeared before the church council. He's got to be getting close to 60 now, and this young man has done fairly well for himself. He was a congressman for many years, ran for governor of Iowa, lost by not much. And the text was this: Hey Don, it's Doubting Thomas Sunday. I love you and I miss you. And it all started in this very room. Amen. The creed is on page 105. If you're able to, please rise.